hundreds of dollars, regular investors buy fractional shares instead.
That's why most of retail is going to come now below $10, in my opinion. And once over $10, we're going to be seeing institutions. It's also psychological, just like he said. What would you rather own? 0.001 Bitcoin or, for example, 1000 XRP? Is you, as a new buyer, what does seem more like better return for your money? Because people don't understand market cap. They're going to be thinking, oh, if XRP hits $10,000 or even like 10% of Bitcoin, that's when it's really going to explode, right? People don't understand that the market cap is way different than Ethereum or Bitcoin. They're going to feel like I missed out on Ethereum. It's already $4,000. I missed out on Bitcoin. It's $1 million. So let me go for XRP. Whoa, $5? $5? What if it really pumps up to Ethereum prices or Bitcoin prices? I'm going to be rich. And this is what happened with SHIB's $1 plan, right? This was the marketing strategy for Shiba Inu, why it grew so much. It was like a tenth of a cent or something like that. It was a 1 trillionth of a cent and you could just buy it.
Of a whole share. Crypto, it is no different. So Zena basically saying that XRP could reach a price where most people just give up on buying whole XRP and settle for fractions. Now, hearing that, I almost had a deja vu moment, like I've heard a very similar story before. And of course, that is when it clicked. Bitcoin, right? The big daddy of crypto.
That's what I'm telling you. Bitcoin, XRP, very, very connected in same levels.
Once upon a time, Bitcoin was cheap enough that you could, at least a modest investor could, get several whole Bitcoins. Now, I'm not even talking about the super early days of $1 Bitcoin, right? But let's say 2014, yeah. Right? Bitcoin was around $250 in mid-2014.
We're seeing the same thing where we're seeing a supply shock potentially in the future, where they're going to be buying all of that Bitcoin, all of that XRP, because other stuff is going to be too expensive. So they're going to go for the cheapest looking, most potential cryptos like XRP.
So $1,000 could have got you 4 BTC back then. That's 4 entire Bitcoin for $1,000. Can you believe that, right? Now today, those 4 Bitcoin are worth let's say, what's Bitcoin now in 2025?
FOMC meeting is also starting today.
Of, $100,000 easy. So we're talking over $400,000. Crazy, right? But here is the kicker. If you have $1,000 today and you want to buy Bitcoin, you can only grab something like 0.008 of a BTC. Literally not even 1/100th of a Bitcoin. So we even have a kind of term for these kind of tiny little bytes, Satoshis or sat, in basically Bitcoin dust. So most of us kind of plebs, I guess, deal in sats now.
So yeah, the meeting is going to be like 1 hour, 36 minutes. So stay on, guys, and smash that like button. The FOMC meeting is just coming right now around the corner.
Because owning whole Bitcoins is for either the rich or the very lucky early birds. And Zena is basically saying,
apparently aiming to be a utility coin for e-commerce transactions. I never heard of it. But, the thing with XRP is right now it's winning because of all this utility they have built up over the years. It took years of promises and a lot of cryptocurrencies go bust, especially after a $500 million lawsuit. Nobody expected that, right? You would see most of the time these cryptocurrencies just getting destroyed and never coming back because of the lawsuits. And South Korea is going crazy for XRP as well because Terra Luna Classic is gone. So that's another factor. South Koreans joining XRP army and literally we are seeing, all of this building up for XRP, all of this under-tapped market with these partnerships basically making it explode.
That's the fate of XRP, right? That someday in the not so distant future, regular people will measure their XRP in drops. Like, Ripple pun, of course, right? Now, or maybe in decimals. We'll keep it real. But because owning tons of XRP will be reserved for the wealthy folk or the OGs. Now, it kind of got chills, thinking about that. It was kind of like watching history repeat itself, right? 10 years ago, people said one day you'll only be able to own a fraction of a Bitcoin. And
they want you to own 1 XRP. That's what the whales are trying to do. They're trying to get you to own just 1 XRP. Haha. Or 10 XRP or 100 XRP, which is not that far off. Now $1,000 only gets you 313. They're pushing that for 100 XRP. They're going to push out for 50 XRP next, and next up you will own 20 XRP and be happy, right? From these big institutions buying right off your shoulders. That's what I feel like is happening.
A lot of us were just laughing and didn't believe it. Now it's normal. Could XRP really be on that same trajectory, going from affordable altcoin that everyone kind of scooped up by the thousand, to expensive asset that you can only buy a slither of? And you know what? I started feeling a bit of a mix of FOMO and nostalgia at this point. FOMO for the obvious reasons, right? Nobody wants to be left behind if XRP is on a path to the moon. But nostalgia because I remember the times not that long ago.
I remember when XRP was 1 cent, and then you think, oh, it used to be 30 cents. Oh, nostalgia? Well, that was 8 months ago. That was actually before Trump was elected, so probably 1 year ago, 2 years ago. Again, this nostalgia hitting in, it's just here right now.
Ago, when XRP was just this easy to get token, sitting quietly under $1 while the rest of the market kind of raged on. Now, back when the SEC lawsuit was looming over Ripple and everybody was uncertain, XRP was literally stuck in the,
Guys, don't feel bad if you missed out on XRP at 1 cent, because a lot of us did in this chat. A lot of us did here because we thought it was never going to recover. We thought the US government will win the lawsuit and XRP will have to either pay a huge fine or settle for a huge fine or basically sell their company to something else. And what we're seeing right now is they prevailed, they had the best outcome scenario, and they won in all factors.
The Dunarms, right? The kind of quiet phase. And people made jokes calling it
the meeting is literally in 1 hour, 40 minutes, Michael.
It was literally so flat while others were pumping, right? And I'll be honest, I kind of ignored XRP
everyone.
during those moments. I mean, sure, I scooped up at 17 cents, I scooped up at 30 cents, but outside of that, I haven't really been buying a lot of XRP. It was that drama coin, right, with a lawsuit.
I mean, once the government starts buying in, it's going to be easy from there. That is the truth. So, once the government comes in and buys millions of it, or probably billions, not of XRP, but billions of their own, with their own hard-earned cash or, taxpayer cash, that's where the XRP really starts to grow. That's where we're waiting for the crypto bill, right? This is why I've been so hopeful for crypto rising.
And I thought, plenty of fish in the sea. Well, tables turn. That once that kind of lawsuit situation kind of started to clear up back in 2023 and Ripple got its partial win, well, you remember when the judge basically said that XRP isn't a security for retail sales, right? Well, that was a huge news, and it kind of felt like the shackles had came off. Exchanges relisted XRP, excitement came back.
So it was very hard to buy XRP 2 years ago because the exchanges didn't want nothing to do with it. They didn't want to get a lawsuit, and Coinbase got a lawsuit, right? So right now, they all relisted it like nothing happened, and it's much, much easier for retail investors to buy in.
And by 2025, here we are. XRP not only broke past the $1, it broke past $2 and then $3, right? It even nearly hit the old all-time high from 2018, which is around the $3.86 level. Suddenly, XRP woke up from a long sleep and said, I'm back, baby. And a lot of us were caught off guard. Now, I hopped into our free educational Discord server. The link, by the way, is in the description.
So what are people saying for XRP? Like, community is very important for XRP prices.
Guys, did I seriously miss the memo? XRP at $3. You think it's too late to grab?
Do you guys feel like it's too late for XRP at $3? I mean, institutions are still buying it. $20 million buy definitely means something, right? It's not no money, basically.
And immediately, of course, a debate kicks off. Right, one person was like, too late, bro, $3 is still cheap if you think it's going to $10 or $100 eventually, right? Real moon boy vibes, right? But another person chimed in saying, nah, it's already pumped a lot. I'm not buying here. I'll wait for a pullback. And there's that kind of classic kind of pragmatic take. I'll take a set, I'll just set a weekly buy for a small amount. If it dips, great. If it moons, at least I got some skin in the game. I love your Discord, but people, they do, of course, keep it real.
I feel like, yeah, a lot of people are, 50% of it are saying, I'm going to wait until it drops to $2, and that might never happen. And the other 50% is really, really afraid right now and is stocking up. Who wins? Well, when you look at the data, right now we're at lowest unemployment in the world. XRP has value for transaction speed. It is a true currency. That's the thing. That's why banks want to work on it, right? Do you have any other technology? Again, if you had other technology, you could just find stuff that can build it, right? That can support the technology. But they literally choose to work with XRP, with Ripple, because there's nothing unlike this one.
Now, I'm going to be honest here, right? I felt both ways. Part of me was pumping my fist that, XRP was finally getting some respect. And part of
the meeting today is in 1 hour and 30 minutes. Again, this is going to be the biggest meeting. It's going to be in about 1 hour, probably sooner.
Me was like, man, did I miss the chance to stack even more when it was cheap? And it was a classic kind of investor paradox then, right? You want...
All right, so this is the part what I want to show you. Whales buy $3 XRP, 14% supply concentration. So the whales are buying in big. They're buying a huge amount.
Now, speaking of accumulating, I came across some data that the big whales are actually still buying even at these $3 plus prices. And that kind of blew my mind.
That's what's insane to me. What do these whales know that we don't?
A little bit too. Like if we were, if I were a whale, who got in super early, maybe I'd be taking profits now, but no.
Yeah. So literally the richest whales, they're not selling, they're buying. And that's why the price is pumping right now. Crazy.
Apparently, wallets holding 10 million to 100 million XRP have been increasing their stash, hitting a new high. So these whale accounts now actually hold 14% of all the XRP that is out there. And guess what happened when XRP dipped to around $2.95 recently? Well, instead of panic selling, big players actually bought that dip. So when I read that, I imagined some mega whale with a kind of a bib saying,
what do these whales know to buy billions and billions of XRP? Like, what do they know? Again, when they could be selling it off below $3. Why are they not doing it? And why do they try so hard to reach $3 or over? Again, every time we try to go below $3, it pumps back up. What are they going for? That is the big question. If you know this answer, you're probably a millionaire already. Because people are willing to pay big money if you know where XRP's price will go next. Like, will it go to $4? Will it go to $5? You could literally work at a big bank and make so much money.
Thank you for the cheap XRP, nom nom. Now, it's kind of like,
thank you for the cheap XRP.
That if you're bullish,
don't worry, in 2026, you're going to get like 20 XRP or 2027 or whatever. I'll leave you some XRP for you.
The big players, they still haven't lost any faith. And if anything, they're just loading up more. And so here I am, soaking in all of this information. Right, Zena is saying that we're only going to be able to afford dust soon. The math showing $1,000 now yields crumbs of XRP. Examples of Bitcoin's trajectory, whales stacking up, new people rushing in. My brain's a bit of an overload here. So I start asking myself the tough question. Is it really too late to buy XRP?
Now, this is a big question, the billion-dollar question. Is it too late?
Now, did I miss or totally miss the boat? And you know what? This is the part where I need to be super clear about something. And this one might just shock you, but I'm not a financial advisor and nothing in this video is financial advice. Cryptocurrencies are highly volatile and you could lose all of the money that you invest. You should always do
in 30 minutes, 0 hour.
Your own research and consult a qualified professional. After all, your investments are entirely your responsibility and you should know that nothing is ever guaranteed.
Gosh, analysts predict $4. Technical insight. I mean, you don't need a technical advisor or a financial advisor to know it's hitting $4. Again, I'm not a financial advisor, but wow, like $4, we broke from $1.5 to 3.66. How hard is it gonna to be breaking another 40 cents?
Elliott wave theory guys out there who said that we're in the most profitable phase, right, of the wave and, primed for $4 plus. Now, I'm not super into the technicals these days, but I do like Elliott wave. I do think it works very, very well if you implement it correctly.
So this chart, Elliott wave, says $4 is possible.
A lot of Elliott wave analysis down in the Discord, for example. So if you show me a chart with waves, I do think that it has some decent merits to it as long as it follows the rules. Now, I'm not, well, at least I am kind of, I guess, one of those guys that will look at it and will place my bets accordingly. Now,
I mean, US government would literally pump it to $5 if they just announced the treasury. I feel like even before buying, if they said we're going to buy 200 million, again, they're going to be obliged to buy that amount. So what's going to happen is if they buy that amount, guess what? XRP whales will try to stock it up, so the government will have to buy it more expensive, right? That's the big news. The government will not just dump on holders, they will hold. And that's where the real profit is.
It's really changed the core observations that we started with here. Right now, XRP has leaped into a new price realm that makes accumulating big bags a lot harder for the average person. Now, that's just a simple fact. So let's think about the psychology, right? When XRP was under $1, a lot of people thought maybe I'll get 1,000 XRP. Who knows, right? If it hits $10 someday, I'll have 10K. Nice. Now,
the issue with this theory is like when it was under $1. It was under $1 for 3 years, 4 years, 5 years. And yet it was 20 cents, it was 8 cents, it was 50 cents, it was 70 cents, right? It was always under $1. And people yet didn't buy. But people are buying it now at $3, which makes you think they are going big on this one.
It was a common casual goal, right? I saw that stat that only 4% of XRP holders.
So yeah, the stats say that there's about 5% that Jerome Powell will actually lower rates. That's what people predict, but who knows? We're going to watch it live.
Have 10,000 or more XRP. Not sure how accurate that is, but it sounds about right since 10,000 XRP now is $30,000 worth. Not many people can throw 30K at a single cryptocurrency. So yeah, the 10K XRP club is pretty elite right now, and the 1K club is getting thinner. So if the price keeps rising, we might actually start talking about 100 XRP club someday as the achievement. That's nuts, but very possible. And
would be nice. I mean, like, more whales joining in means there is a bigger club of whales, bigger club of millionaires when the market cap goes up, but also you holding XRP will get richer by theory, right? So you will literally get more rich from that.
It's the funny thing, right? If you're an XRP holder who's kind of been stacking for years, you might be sitting on a pile that suddenly went from feeling, mediocre to feeling like a treasure trove, right? Now, for me, the whole saga was a bit of a wake-up call about the nature of bull runs and how quickly...
People are saying it's unlikely he will drop rates, right? But again, we're looking at September. It just says it's unlikely. So we will see what happens. But feeling like he will not listen to Trump, this could definitely happen and it would be a whole lot of nothing. But who knows? We got to see his reasoning behind it live.
Sentiment can shift. 1 minute you're delusional and the next you're exuberant, right? Then you're anxious because it's just too late. All of that, all in the span of just a year, right? It taught me to at least not to take cheap prices for granted. Now, whether you're a diehard XRP holder...
So yeah, you could have bought it at like $2. And this is the key takeaway. Crypto is moving at an all-time high. It's literally going to always change. And I feel like that crypto right now is still becoming one of the big players for retail investors, for institutions. We're still very early. Crypto regulation is not even close to being done yet.
Or just a crypto curious guy, there's a bigger picture here, right? It's not just about one coin getting pricey. It's actually about the adoption and belief, right? The reason
the thing is, XRP might be kind of more risky, but the chance of Ethereum growing, in the past history with the lawsuit, XRP went up less because of the lawsuit, but now it has a higher potential than Bitcoin. Again, it's more risky. It's way more risky than Ethereum and Bitcoin. When you look, those will grow 100% in my opinion. But the thing is, yeah, it might give much, much better returns. It already did. Even though Bitcoin doubled in like 1 year, XRP did this in 1 month. I mean, in 1 day.
Bitcoin went from something anyone could afford to something that only fractionally affordable is because enough people believed in its value and its future. If XRP is on a similar trajectory, it means a lot of people are finding value in what XRP offers. All right, so we've covered a lot, but here are my key takeaways. Crypto moves fast. One day you're able to buy coins by the thousands. The next day you're counting decimals, right? It happened with Bitcoin and it's happening with XRP, and it will happen again with other coins in the future. So here I am wrapping up my little investigation.
Will it? Like, there is not that many, maybe 3, 5 or less that have grown as much as XRP. Sure, you can see 10x gains or 200x, but literally XRP has grown more than any other crypto. It's literally top 3 crypto. So it's going to be not that easy as people think for
XRP holders.
There's going to be more cryptos going up and down. But again,